I'm really honored that I had been invited to give a talk on standardization in urine analysis. My background studies, I did an engineering degree, and in the second phase I did a medical degree. So I can combine both worlds, and this is nice. And I'm working now for the last 15 years in IVD diagnostics. Today I would like to talk about standardization in urine analysis based on an AI system. I would like to start with the international guidelines to give you an idea about reference ranges, then manufacturer controls, EQA in urine diagnostics. Then we did my thanks to HUQAS, they did a very nice survey during the last week on urine analysis, which fits very well to my presentation. And I really would like to say thank you for the team to providing this in short time. Then I would like to summarize requirements for the accreditation on a global scale. And finally, I would like to show you the latest version of a urine microscope. So that's a urine microscope. So instead of doing microscopic levels, this system based on an AI will do the same job. Takes away some workload from your side. I'm from a company called Human. We are from Germany. We have many product lines, 13 product lines. So we cover more or less every product you can use in the lab. That's 400 products. We distribute in 160 countries. Yeah, and you see our company in Wiesbaden and in Magdeburg, and we have a small production site also in Ahrensburg, that's in the north of Germany. Quality, of course, plays a major role for us as well. We participate in many round-robin tests, like HUQAS as well. The beauty on the HUQAS system, for example, as well, is that you have many peer groups of our instruments, and this is really the additional value that you have a peer group for each instrument and each reagents. Only if you have a bigger group of customers in one peer group, it really makes an ecosystem make sense. Urine analysis. In the urine analysis, I think we are at the same situation nowadays as we had been in hematology about 20-25 years ago. 25 years, I'm also a hematologist. 25 years ago, we changed from doing microscopy, counting blood cells. We did it manually. I think the young people cannot even believe that this had been done all manually. Nowadays, it's done by 3-part and 5-part systems, and you look only on whatever atypical lymphocytes or stuff like this on a microscope. Yeah? So the same situation as in hematology 25 years ago, we are now in urine analysis. In urine analysis, we are still forced to do all this particle countings and differentiating manually. And this is a big workload. I think rather boring workload, sorry to say that, but it takes lots of your energy during a daytime to do 30, 40 slides at a day. So we have at the moment only 2 possibilities. We do it manually, or we invest 80,000, 100,000 euros for a fully automated system. The systems you see, and they are usually consisting of a fully automated strip reader and a fully automated microscope system, but you have to invest 80,000 euros. So that's not the solution, okay? Therefore, the EQUAS survey said the difficulties, the biggest challenge in urine analysis nowadays, then that's your group, is that in 40% of the cases, if two different lab technicians do the same slide, they will get different results, which is, of course, not what you would like to have in terms of quality and reproducibility and traceability. Yeah, so that's your feedback, not, but that's what is common. And 36% of the people in the survey reported that a struggle is that they are not they have not a hands-on training or limited training. So I think without a good training in doing urine microscopy, you are more or less lost. Yeah. So this is a situation. Nevertheless, we have to work with the situation with it. But I think there is really a big need of standardization in urine diagnostics. And even there, internationally, there are not there is no reference value for the parameters you report on urine microscopy. The only reference value which is available is for RBC. Higher than 3 RBCs per high power field, that's atypical, that's abnormal. So that means the patient has a disease. Yeah? There is no recommendation for white blood cells, there is no recommendation for cast crystals, and so on. So even the European guideline does not specify any normal ranges, reference ranges for the parameters we report on microscopy, urine microscopy. There is, of course, some, let's say, global consensus on it. So we have RBCs, as I said, above 3 cells per high power field, WBCs above 5, and so on. Yeah, but this is already on a weak basis, and I think if you would ask in the group here, everybody reports something else as abnormal, or as abnormal, or as critical ranges. Parasites are a very good topic that's not even mentioned in none of the guidelines. Yeah, I have to say honestly as well. Also, we had not been aware about this issue. So when we came introducing the HumaVision, this microscope, a few weeks ago, we had been surprised how many parasites you have in the urine. So we will, of course, do a second evaluations where we integrate the parasites. But all the other machines, even if you invest 80,000 euro in a fully automated system, it cannot diagnose or differentiate parasites. Yeah, same with yeast or other parameters. So this is the gap you have anyway. This system is on the same page. The first step in guaranteeing quality is, of course, always you run manufacturer controls. There is, for the dipsticks, the urine strips, there are 2 different types available. You have the droppers, which you can use manually. This is on the left side, yeah, where you drop this control on the strips, and you get a reading, and the control materials have a reference value for it. Then you have the tubes, which are much better. So you insert the full strip in a tube with a control value, because then you have the concentrations are the same, and the procedure is the same as you really use them on native urine. Okay, already better. So that's are the solutions for the strips. In the survey, we asked how many use QC materials for dipsticks, and about 50% said yes, and 50% said no. So I think not bad, I would say. and then I asked how often, and also not bad. 12% use it every day, 25% once per week, and 33% once per lot. So I think most of you will do the dipstick QC material readings with 1 time per lot. I think this is not sufficient, but it's a starting point. Yeah, we're coming to a topic I think nobody has really thought about it, that you should do a QC, of course, as well. If you do manual microscopy, you report results, and there is no standardization. So standardization or quality control could be checked, of course, if you would use in manual microscopy control materials. Control materials are available, as I show you. They contain RBCs, WBCs, quite often crystals, sometimes casts, sometimes bacteria, but never parasites. Okay, so we could not cover your need with the controls which are available right now, but it would also be a good starting point, of course, because the most important parameters are RBCs and WBCs reporting, and the controls can do this. These controls can be used for manual microscopy or for the fully automated systems. And we asked again, how many of you do perform QC for urine microscopy? And there you see Nobody does it. Maybe a few people who have a fully automated system, they will run some controls because maybe they come with this fully automated system. For this special group, the ones who have an automated system, there the QC material use is 20% instead of 16%. So if you have an automated system, this is always a step towards standardization as well. And this is what I would like to stress here. But there I would have expected the values much higher. And now I would like to give you a short overview on the what's available on EQ systems in microscopy, urine microscopy. And in the end, there is only GAP and there is SF Equas, who really provide a liquid, a urine-based urine-based solution, which you could use on the microscopes. The others provide you only glass slides with fixed particles on it, so that you have a reference system, but you will get slides, which is for microscopy not bad, but for an automated system, of course, it would not work. Yeah. Who participates in external quality assurance systems? The feedback was 28%. I think this is related to the dipsticks, to the strips, but not to microscopy. Last overview topic, what are the requirements for an accreditation internationally on urine analysis? And you can see there are organizations from Europe, from the United States, then the ISO themselves, or Singapore, for example. The requirement for an accreditation would be you should use the control material also in urine analysis on a daily basis, otherwise you would not be accredited in these countries. And the request for proficiency testing, AQA, would be at least once a year. That would be the recommendation internationally, just to give you an idea what is going on there. This was an interesting question. It was not my question. It was from Hukwas, and I really like it because the question was, are you adapting to new guidelines or tools for urine analysis standardization? And I was surprised. Everybody is willing to improve. That shows me there seems to be some uncertainty or unhappiness that the standardization is very poor and we should have better standardization. And because it was on guidelines and tools, I would like to show you the solution for new tools in this respect, and therefore give me the 10 minutes to introduce you to new systems. The solutions Human is providing in this respect is we have one system for strip reading. This is battery based. And we have one system for microscopy. So urine microscopy you could do on this analyzer here. I will first start with the Huma Combilizer, or the workflow. The workflow always starts with native urine, okay? And then you do your dipsticks, and nowadays you might do it manually. You compare it with the box, which readings you have. This has many problems. If you would like to do this in an automated way, you use this strip reader and you get a classification which is better than you do it with your eyes. And you get a digital reporting, list communication, whatever. If the guidelines say if the dipsticks are abnormal, you have to confirm it by a microscope, okay? So that would be the normal workflow, and therefore our solution would be also a point-of-care solution, a microscopic system, AI-based. Of course, digital reporting, all this is done on this system. The question here was, how is the reporting done on strip readings? 50% was manual, same situation. Microscopy, there also about 50% of the reports had been manually on paper. Combilizer would help you on this because it has a printer in it, so you get directly reading, writing down 10 or 13 values might be already error prone, and you avoid this. This system has a touchscreen, runs on battery. Yeah, I think it's really easy to operate, and very important, it provides you the microalbumin creatinine ratio. with the strips of 13 parameters. You get microalbumin and creatinine, two very important parameters. You should not miss these two parameters and should always create that microalbumin creatinine ratio, because only then you will have the full picture on kidney and on diabetic patients. There we have the strips. We have one of 10 parameters and one of 13 parameters. The difference in price is really not big, so reconsider your situation and add these two most important parameters, creatinine and microalbumin. I'm really proud on this system. I worked for it for, I don't know, 15 years or so. It's AI based, so it sounds like, wow, this is just in time, but we worked for it already for a long time. In previous time, it was not called AI, it was called something else, but now everybody talks about AI. This system, the big advantage is that the learning curve you have to do by yourself when you train yourself or you get trained on urine microscopy, that takes a long time. You need to see thousands of samples in order to have a good idea and have a chance to differentiate also critical samples. The workflow nowadays is you start with native urine, but then you have to concentrate your urine. Why you concentrate urine? Only because the microscope reading requires it. For urine analysis, it's not needed to concentrate the sample or centrifuge it. Yeah? It's only to get a concentrate with enough particles per volume in the field of view. Otherwise, your results would be never representative. Okay, that's the only reason why we nowadays concentrate the urine samples by centrifugation. But by the centrifugation, at the same time, we destroy many cells. I will come back to this topic. That entire process takes about 20 to 30 minutes per sample, including the preparations. With the HumaVision, that's the name of this machine, it takes only 2 to 7 minutes. You use directly native urine, 20 microliter, put it in a glass slide, special glass slide, put the glass slide in the analyzer, it does the image, the picture, and a few minutes later you get the results. We have to consider many issues in urine diagnostic. I mentioned this is my topic, that standardization is the weak point in urine diagnostic. Even it's one of the most common, the most used diagnosis in every lab, in every hospital. So it's by the centrifugation step, which we need only for the microscope to have a concentrate, we will lose many cells because the centrifugation step will destroy white blood cells, it will destroy casts, it will destroy crystals, okay? About 20 to 80% of the epithelial cells get lost. But the biggest problem is the inter-observer variability, and there we see there's lots of literature there, and it says if you would put it in a CV like an instrument, the CV would be 70%. That means, as next slide, as you told me in the survey, the biggest issue in urine diagnostic is that it's not reproducible. So if you put it on one, if one person looks on the slide, he gets different results from a second person who looks at the same slide. Yeah. That's the biggest issue there. And this can be overcome by this urine microscope. So it runs on battery. The AI is on that machine. Yeah. If you now work with ChatGPT, you need to have internet to get the AI, which is somewhere in the cloud. Here, the AI is on the machine. So all this done is on the machine. Native urine. This is really a big topic, and all guidelines, whether it's the European or the American or Japanese, Scandinavian or Indian, all recommend that you should use native urine because of the problems I mentioned, that you lose cells during the centrifugation steps. So there's literature that you lose about 20 to 80% of the erythrocytes, leukocytes, and epithelial cells during that centrifugation steps. During the time when urine stays in the lab, crystals will grow, will disappear, all can happen, you know it. Yeah? And this is not the case if you use native urine and use it ideally a few minutes after you collect the urine. The instrument then does an image it's an holographic image. This is unique and looks for the red blood cells, boxes them, and then counts them. And then the same for the white blood cells, boxes them, counts them, for the epithelial cells, and so on, for the crystals and casts and bacteria. And then you get a complete image. And from the complete image, you, of course, have the complete reporting. Here, this would be a PDF, which the instrument provides you, for example. You get the readings, you get the readings in microliter in particles per microliter, so that's a quantitative reading. Particles per high power field or low power field is not a quantitative reading, yeah, because you have no volume defined. So only if you would use a counting chamber with a microscope, then you would have a number, a real number behind it. But this system, because it has a defined volume, it defines particles per microliter. This is not possible with a microscope. The second column, the normal ranges for each parameter. There we did a literature survey and put all the normal ranges into the system. So what is not available globally on the guidelines is already in the machine in terms of reference values as well. We asked as well whether you report in high power field, low power field, or in absolute quantities. Absolute quantities would be in microliter. This, of course, only 12% did, and I think only these people used a counting chamber or maybe used a fully automated system. We did an evaluation. We did, of course, many evaluations, one here in Brussels. And you see the correlations of our system to a very expensive machine from Sysmex UF4000. It's a flow cytometer. And the correlations between red blood cells, white blood cells, epithelial cells, and casts had been very good. The interesting part was on epithelial cells and hyaline casts, the correlation of our system was better to microscope than even with this big flow cytometer. A flow cytometer has to push the urine through a flow cell, so a small hole, and during that process, you will also destroy epithelial cells and casts. Okay, so for that purpose or for that parameters, the system was even better. Okay, and that's it. And if there are questions, nail me down, ask hundreds of questions later on, or look outside on the booth. There is a system as well. Ask for a demonstration tomorrow, next days. I even would come personally. Thanks.